Flat earthers are getting desperate, you don't say. Probably because we're finding out scientific every single day, and we just grabbed a rocket with a crane arm hand thing.
Hello, my name is Tom, and today
Hi, Tom.
we're going to talk about Jaron
Fables.
Campanella, a flat earther who accidentally disproved his entire worldview. Now, conspiracy theories are a lot of fun. Some of them will get you banned if you even mention them. Others are more funny than anything. But one that I've always really loved is this idea that the Earth is flat. It's unique in the way that the people who believe in it didn't want to come up with some new conspiracy theory. Instead, they've decided to disregard a few thousand years of scientific discovery by dusting off this archaic understanding of how the world used to be.
It was all a trick. They're tricking you because they want control, and they've been doing it for thousands of years. They've just been adding on to it every single day.
And now, in the modern age, all of these guys also have an internet connection, meaning they can get online whenever they want and spread their beliefs as much as possible. And
also get in the echo chambers where people can talk about their beliefs and sniff each other's farts, and you know, you get stuck in a cult. Flat earthers are in a cult, the social media cult.
Also meet like-minded people, which has led to these guys organizing into the Flat Earth movement. This specific group of people are pretty similar to incels in the way that they peaked in mainstream popularity around the late 2010s, and ever since then, hearing about them kind of evokes the same feeling as hearing about a hearing about like a "here comes that boy" joke. It's partially due to the fact that they've been covered by every YouTuber under the sun at this point, the fact that mocking flat earthers has been very played out on Reddit, because these
Now the thing is to mock people who mock flat earthers. Pretty soon we're going to be mocking those people. There's going to be a meme within a meme within a meme, and people are actually buying it. And soon it's going to be like a whole thing. It's going to be a whole movement. There's probably going to be a political party based on it.
These guys are probably the easiest dunk imaginable. Unfortunately, 8 or 9 times out of 10, the people trying to debunk flat earthers...
I had a friend come up to me one time and be like, man, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but I've been watching some flat earth videos and it's got me thinking, and I was like, what? Are you shitting me right now? Or is this a joke? No. He was genuinely distraught over it. And mind you, he quit school and like, I don't know. He quit school, right? He got homeschooled after a while. So there's that.
Are not really trying to understand them. It's more so just like, oh my god, I get to have an easy dunk on this guy that's obviously wrong. Look at how crazy this one guy is. Like, yeah, we know. We heard you for the 200th time. But if you can get over the oversaturation, there are still a lot of funny little gems to be found within the flat earth community to this very day. Digging through the extensive history of their beliefs, the various organizations they founded to spread them, and their psychology is a massive rabbit hole that becomes very easy to get lost in. So today, we're going to go down that rabbit hole to better understand these guys and to talk about the most recent dunk that happened to one of these individuals, Jaron. Jaron? What kind of name is that? Now, the most important question when it comes
Jaron? Oh, shit. This guy's been to other universes. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe the Earth is flat.
to flat Earth is how and why there are massive groups of people that believe the Earth is flat, other than, you know,
this bro fought Goku and almost won.
Lead being in tap water and inbreeding, of course, which could be good explanations. I don't know. It seems to be the case that for a few thousand years, we all had a pretty common consensus that the Earth...
Most of the flat earthers that I've met in real life tend to look like this. And they're like 40.
Was round, but in the past 10 to 20 years, these guys have really popped up on the internet. So why is that? Why is it the case that there are people scarily high up in the food chain, like Kyrie Irving, a professional basketball player who subscribed to this system of beliefs? There are business owners, there are CEOs, there are competent people.
I don't think he subscribed to the system of beliefs. I think he just was interested in watching a bunch of documentaries on YouTube, and now he's like, well, I guess I believe that now. Time to move on with my day and never think about that again until somebody brings it up.
People who work in the electronics field who all believe that the Earth is flat. And simultaneously, they also believe that at the edge of the Earth at Antarctica is an ice wall where there's some devious things happening.
Recently, a poll showed that only 84% of Americans agree with the statement, "I have always believed the world is round." 84%.
Yeah, but always believe the world is round. because I didn't always believe the world was round. There was a time where I didn't even think about any of that existential shit. And there was a time where, like, I thought it worked kind of like just got a flat plane that goes on forever. And you keep going. And then eventually I was like, oh, well, it's a ball. We're on a ball that's floating in space. Makes sense to me.
And if you're 18 to 24, that's more like 66%, which is like dangerously close to half.
Well, conveniently for us, Johnny...
Is that really true, or are people memeing? Because if somebody was going to ask me in a poll if I'm a flat earther, like at a political station or something, I'm saying yes. And I know a lot of people who are saying yes, because that's just a funny thing to ask somebody and say yes to.
Harris has a video on this exact question that people were asking in the midst of Flat Earth having a bit of a resurgence. You see, Flat Earthers as we know them are actually a relatively new thing, at least in the past couple hundred of years. Even in medieval times, pretty much everyone knew that the Earth was a globe by then. In the Dark Ages, the time after the Roman Empire, when humanity was, at a very big risk, people still believed that the Earth was round. When Christopher Columbus was sailing around the world, there was a universal consensus, even from the Catholic Church themselves, that the Earth was indeed round. You see, in the 1800s, there was this guy named Parallax. It's a very strange name. It's almost...
I'd like these flat earthers to show me the math. Show me the math that the Earth is flat. Show me all of these textbooks that you've written, all the math that you've got, all the science based around it. Let me see that, and maybe I'll believe it. So far, there is more evidence of the Earth being round based on literal math checking out than there is for it being flat. Because literally everything is based on what we know about space and physics and mathematics, and everything that checks out so far checks out. Earth being round, math says yes, checks out. Everything looks round. Everything seems to be round.
Almost like this is like a forum username, like the moderator of the Too Good for Poop subreddit Parallax was caught messaging cats on catbook.com. Like that. It's a cool name, I admit. I gotta agree with Johnny Harris here.
Like if I were a DJ, I would totally go with like Parallax.
But Parallax decided to do an extremely simple experiment with a river, where he basically said, if I look at this very long river, this 6-mile long river, through a telescope, I should be seeing a curve. But as it turns out, he did not see a curve, therefore, he concluded the Earth must be flat. And somehow, this explanation was extremely convincing to a lot of people. And frankly, to an extent, this is understandable because scientific literacy in the 1800s wasn't as great as it is now. The standardized education system was not as good as it is now, although even now it probably has some serious issues. And so this very simple explanation was appealing to a lot of people who didn't want to have to read about this stuff and had just kind of been told their entire lives, oh, the Earth is round. Why is it round? I don't know, ask a scientist. Why would I trust a scientist when we've got this cool guy named
Parallax? As scientific methods become more sophisticated, they become harder for you and me to understand. Parallax and his canal experiments are a reaction to all of this. They are a call for a simplification of
Dr. J says, I believe it now. Fable's Folly's long hair is an ice wall. Man, I had this hair freeze the other day, and some of it broke. Let me tell you, I ain't holding anybody behind these walls, because they're gonna shatter. Look at this. Look how thin this hair is.
Of scientific methods.
But after this small movement guided by Parallax in the 1800s, the flat Earth...
You saying my head's the globe? You saying I got people living in my brain? I probably do.
Did die down for quite a while until the age of the internet. And it honestly makes sense why, for a few reasons. First of all, the internet has provided a haven for a lot of people who are societal outcasts to come together and form their own communities online, which are essentially echo chambers where they can avoid being challenged. I mean, this happens in politics, it happens with conspiracy theories. Why would it not happen with flat Earth? And really, simplification of complicated information is really the entire mission objective when it comes to the internet at large. Instead of learning trigonometry or the scientific process, which, to be honest, are both kind of boring to me, people have basically simplified it into these Facebook-type images that are easy to understand and shareable, almost like it's a meme. And at the end of the day, this entire philosophy is based on a general distrust of science, and instead they believe that you can only truly take in from the world what you can see with your own two eyes.
Except in courts, they don't go off of eyewitness, because that is literally the worst, like, evidence that you can bring forward. That's not even evidence. They just throw that shit out. We don't care about eyewitness because our eyes play tricks on us all the time. If you look at an optical illusion, literally called an optical illusion, your eye, it plays tricks on your eyes. You see things that aren't actually there, and things are happening that aren't actually happening. So, like, what?
Throw out thousands of years of research because they just don't trust the scientific consensus. They think these people are either idiots or potentially conspiring together to push an agenda, maybe both. And it's a very fascinating worldview. And as the internet became popular and more people got online, it even gave way to different in real life conventions. And as with any community, these people eventually decided, hey, maybe we should get off the internet and go meet in real life. And that led to the flat...
I've been involved in some of these conversations that people will have that are similar to this, not exactly flat earth, but like when people are talking about space, they'll throw out a whole paragraph in Discord, and then somebody will reply to it with a whole paragraph, and I guarantee the people involved in these conversations, they'll read the paragraph and be like, yeah, I agree with all of this, and here's some more to add on to that. And then the other person will be like, yeah, I agree. And it keeps going like that.
Flat Earth International Conference, a gathering of the greatest minds in the flat Earth community to come together to celebrate their beliefs and to challenge the mainstream consensus on the Earth being round.
And the Earth is...
Flat.
The Earth is flat.
My reality, my senses tell me that the Earth is flat and stationary.
The amount of people at this convention and the amount of interviews that were conducted is pretty mind-boggling. It's a very weird thing to behold. And obviously a lot of these people are very eccentric characters, and to be honest, despite the fact that...
We're just gonna have to send them all to space so they can see for themselves.
They believe is so insane. Ultimately, I do think that they're relatively harmless and more funny than anything, and they end up producing some pretty good content. For example, this one lady who decided to make a sick flat earth epic poem to share with the world, and it got her on the news. They've also taken their beliefs even further than that through their art, with this one guy in particular named Odd TV creating...
This is the weirdest religion ever. This is weirder than the DEI woke religion. This is weirder than the rainbow cult to me. I actually kind of understand and get the rainbow cult. This one, I am perplexed. I am kerfuffled about this one. I don't even know what to say about it other than those two words. Perplexed and kerfuffled.
Epic rap disses on all of the globe-tards.
Like many modern movements, this one has grown in large part out of the internet, with rappers like Odd TV evangelizing to hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
No more living on a cartoon ball.
And as you would probably expect, the community of Flat Earth goes much deeper than this. And because of how complicated...
No more living on a cartoon ball. Yeah, man, I feel that. That slaps.
The movement has become over the years, there are also several types of flat earthers. For example, some of them believe that science is a lie because there are horrors in the Arctic Circle that those who are really in charge are trying to hide. They basically believe that...
But how do you know? How do you know? You're just talking with a bunch of people that are telling you that these things are there, and then showing you evidence based on things that other people are saying are there. They're like, listen to this guy talk. He'll tell you everything you need to know. This is why this is true, because this guy is really smart and he went to these places, knows all these people, did all these things. And he knows this person that also did all these things and knows all these people, but there's no evidence this guy actually ever existed. It's always stuff like that.
There is this ice wall fortress at the end of the earth where there are secret things going on that the government doesn't want us to know about. And from there, they're also projecting a lot of the lies about the supposed round earth. Then
This is how Scientology got started. Because it was based on a fictional book, and people kind of were jokingly serious about it at first, but it went full-blown serious. Like, people are going to prison. They're messing with people's lives.
Also have guys who think it's less insidious. They think that science simply got it wrong, and they've developed new methods to test the truth, doing their own experiments to prove their worldview. And on top of that, obviously there is a lot of crossover between flat earth and other conspiracy theories, like about the Jews and stuff like that. Here in this news broadcast, we can even see this man giving what seems to be some kind of rallying cry, a rallying speech to the flat earthers to say, hey, we are here and we must be seen.
For the serious students here at the conference,
This has got to a point now where it's becoming real.
We would probably be able to see you if you weren't over the horizon. Because you're so far out of my backyard, man. It's funny, over the horizon, because they're flat earthers. If the earth was flat, I'd be able to see them over the horizon.
It all comes down to proof.
Now, the 2018 Flat Earth Convention in UK was also an absolute treasure trove of diversity of belief in the best way possible. Sure, the majority of attendees do believe that the Earth is in fact a round disc, but then there are also rebels within the movement who insist that maybe the Earth is not a round disc, maybe it's more of a diamond shape, sort of a Minecraft type thing. And while a lot of them don't believe in the existence of outer
A diamond shape like a floating island, they mean. You ever seen a floating island like what? Castle in the Sky? You ever seen that? Where it's got the stone, not stone pillars. It's got the, what, stalactites or stalagmites? Which ones come out of the ceiling that go down? It has those coming out of the bottom, like dirt and stuff coming off of them. That's what they mean by it being more of a diamond shape.
Space, or that humans
I think it's like the hyperbolic time chamber of Dragon Ball. That's just me.
have ever ventured there, which also gets into another conspiracy theory crossover, because a lot of people believe that the moon landing in 1969 was faked by the United States government and we've actually never been to the moon. Some believe that there is no moon, but that's a whole other rabbit hole in and of itself. These guys do have a lot of differing views on the broader universe, and it's very thought-provoking. Take, for example, Robbie Davidson, the organizer
It's very entertaining. I'll give them that. Very entertaining to see what all these morons and weirdos think.
The Flat Earth International Conferences. You see, according to him, Earth is a stationary plane under a dome sprinkled with the sun, moon, and stars. It's like that show, Under the Dome, the very bad show, if you've ever seen that. It's like that. But on the other hand...
Ooh, I never heard of that. I might have to check that out. Is that anything like the Simpsons movie? Or is that what the Simpsons is based it off of? I don't know. Which one came first?
And you have the Flat Earth Society.
Simpsons did it. I bet Simpsons did it first.
They promote the idea that the Earth is actually essentially a frisbee of land with a bunch of stuff on top of it, and that it is flying through space like someone just chucked it. And this has led to a lot of different conflicts between these guys. Like Robbie, for example, he considers this notion ridiculous. Okay, this is just too far. But if you can believe it, there's also other theories, because the majority of flat
Don't forget about Donut Earth. We got Donut Earth theory, and it's tasty.
Earthers believe the Earth just stops at some point and kind of drops off into space, but that's not what everybody thinks. The filmmakers of Behind the Curve, which is a documentary about flat earthers, attended one conference where some folks insisted that the Earth is actually an infinite plane. It's like an infinitely generating Minecraft world where there are potentially a bunch of hidden bonus continents beyond Antarctica's ice wall. And while that in and of itself is a very unique perspective, the idea of the ice wall, like I've mentioned before, is not an idle theory. Most flat earthers do in fact...
That one I could get behind. The fact that it just keeps going on forever and ever and ever. I could get behind that one before the actual regular flat earth theory. Mostly because I kind of had that in my head whenever I was a little kid. Probably like 5-year-old me. Thought that, or didn't really think that, but just didn't think otherwise.
Believe that NASA and government agencies are involved in a conspiracy to keep this whole globe-trotting spherical charade going to hide different things. And according to the most popular version of the theory, the reason why NASA won't actually go into space, if space even exists, is that they're currently busy hiding, cloaking, and simultaneously guarding the ice wall. Now, obviously from that, the question becomes, what about all of the scientific proof in quotation marks, that the Earth is round? What about all of that? Well, you see, they just think that all of that is fake. For example, you know those satellite images you've seen of the Earth being round? That's simply fake. It's photoshopped. The oceans change color too often. The continents seem to play musical chairs. So clearly Photoshop is to blame. And obviously this is a very easy dunk to get on them to kind of reduce their worldview to that, but it does get a lot more interesting than that, all right? What's truly fascinating about flat earthers is the complexity of the beliefs and the various different factions that exist within it. Every single day, one of these guys basically pulls a new conspiracy theory or belief system out of their ass.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, what if this thing happened? This thing and this thing happened. What if this thing?
Done by outside observations essentially has grouped these guys into 3 distinct factions.
They're literally sitting in their rooms watching TV. They'll be doing something and somebody will mention something on the TV or whatever they're doing, and then it'll just like a light bulb. They're like, oh, I had an idea. What if the Earth is a starfish? And then they'll just keep talking themselves into circles and be like, well, I guess I believe the Earth's a starfish now. I'm going to start talking about it to people.
Of thought within the movement, and obviously I've discussed a lot of beliefs, so there's a lot of differing ideas on this from individuals, but there are three distinct factions essentially. Many of them do share several of these beliefs while rejecting others, like they'll kind of fit into two camps well, but then the third camp they won't agree with. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to focus into three specific categories, so let's break it down. We'll start with the faithful crusaders. For this group, flat earth isn't just a belief, it's actually a holy war against atheism. And hey, I don't really like Reddit atheists, so maybe I'm on their side. You see, they argue that science is a tool atheists use to undermine Christianity. Evolution? Fake. The Big Bang? All a lie. Round Earth? Don't even get me started there. Instead, they use a very literal interpretation of scripture, like how in the Bible there is the mention of the four corners of the earth. I mean, if they say the four corners of the earth, obviously a circular earth does not have corners, right? A round earth doesn't have corners, and obviously neither would a flat disc frisbee shaped earth, but you know,
They say four corners of the earth because the earth is separated into quadrants.
We're moving on. I mean, why let geometry ruin a perfectly divine narrative? But some of these guys argue that the four corners are proof that Earth is a literal 2D quadrilateral or even a 3D tetrahedron. Never mind that none of these shapes really align with the flat Earth models they actually promote, but once again, there's a lot of differing thoughts, so I don't want to pin them down too much here. Now we've got the classic theorists, and this—
Like literally, four corners of the earth. It's just when you're talking about, when you're looking at a map and you're like, is that a corner, or is that corner, or that corner, or that corner?
This is really the conspiracy crowd. You see, these guys believe that the supposed lie that the earth is round is really just the tip of the iceberg. According to them, a secret cabal of elites suppresses knowledge to maintain control over the masses. They'll kind of differ within there about what those elites are, you know, sometimes.
That sounds like a really, really badass anime, though. Imagine you find out that everything you know is a lie and we live in some like weird Harry Potter world. Be kind of cool. But not to know that, like, hey, you know that Hitler was working with Voldemort?
Sometimes it's the Elon types, sometimes it's the rabbi types, depending on who you ask. But the idea rests on this notion that if they, whoever they are, can convince you that the earth is round, they can make you believe anything. You want to keep people suppressed and keep them in line and keep them from discovering the truth? Well, just lie about the fundamental nature of their home rock, their home planet. Although I think the term planet would probably be controversial to them, so I'll refrain from using that word. This shadowy group supposedly has nothing better to do than micromanage public perception of Earth's shape to hide things that are lower down on the iceberg. You see, for this faction, flat Earth isn't just a belief, it's a manifesto. Exposing the truth about Earth's flatness is seen as a way to liberate humanity from intellectual oppression and get to the truth of the matter. And our last group is going to be the guys who like to do it themselves, the DIY scientists. This group simply does—
I thought he said DEI for a second. I'm gonna be like, well, I'm out of the Earth being flat.
does not believe anything they cannot see, touch.
I don't believe it no more. Gay people's getting involved. That's what you need to do. Get gay people involved, and all these rednecks won't believe that the Earth's flat no more. And all these, like, black people, because black people don't like gays unless they're gay themselves. Usually, that I've found. Don't hold me to that. I'm just joking, man. These are all jokes. I'm just saying shit that comes off top of my dome.
Or measure themselves with their own technology, which is kind of what I briefly discussed with our boy Parallax from the 1800s. They completely dismiss all book knowledge, which is a term they use. They say that it's suspect, okay? It's weird. They prefer to rely on their own personal observations. If the ground looks flat to them, it must be flat. Who needs pesky things like math or science when you've got pure vibes? You see, the DIY scientists frame their arguments as experimental, and they pride themselves on rejecting authority. They'll happily launch weather balloons, they'll make makeshift experiments, and they'll even use lasers, okay? They'll use actual lasers to try and prove that the Earth is flat.
When it comes to science, there's things you can test right now, right? Fire burns, water's wet.
They're using freaking lasers.
Drop something, falls to the ground, that appears to be gravity. Those are things you can test.
But here's the thing about that. Even within the flat Earth community, paranoia runs very deep. In Behind the Curve, for example, attendees were warned not to trust anyone, okay? You gotta watch your back. As figures like math, Powerland, and yes, that is his real name. His name is Math Powerland, okay? He claimed that other prominent flat earthers were potentially working for the CIA so that they could infiltrate the community, or perhaps also working for the Warner Brothers, which is, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. Hey, Warner Brothers, if you're watching my video, I think a Batman villain related somehow to flat earth, maybe the flat earther would be cool, and Batman can come in with math and science and try to prove to him that the earth is actually round. Okay, I think that'd be a great move. So if any WB execs are,
or you can call them anti-globy,
watching this, the next
or no globy
DC animated movie, I think, has to be in line with that. Just saying. Now, at the 2017 Flat Earth Conference, several speakers accused
Is that racist to call people globies? You're all a bunch of globies. If you think the earth is round, you're a globy.
Others of being shills sent by some
you rounder
deep state counterintelligence program to make the movement look bad, right? It's the same idea that a lot of guys will have with, like, okay, right-wing movements are being infiltrated by the government, by the FBI, by the CIA to try and make us look bad, to astroturf bad actors, to push us into doing something crazy so they can arrest us, right? It's that same kind of idea of entrapment. But the drama did not stop there. At the very same conference, a plan to create a non-profit sparked an outburst from an audience member. A 501c3, she exclaimed, aghast. That is a Luciferian contract. You see, she believes that these contracts are demonic, that a charity is inherently a demonic entity, and obviously a lot of these guys are very anti-government. Some of them are like libertarians, some of them are sovereign citizens. Once again, there's just a lot of good overlap going on from a lot of different groups in the flat earth community, and I find them very fascinating. But with that, any hope of a bureaucratic unity in
oh, they're lying to us about the earth being round. Who cares if they are? How does that affect you going to work at the chicken factory that you probably work at? Like, how does that affect any of that? Why do you care? Why would they go through all of that trouble for you to just not care?
Flat earth land really kind of went out the window because they don't trust
why would they go through all that trouble for you to just talk about it on the internet and still go to work? Because you're gonna go to work anyway. Unless you're saying that we're not supposed to work, which I disagree wholeheartedly. That's what I was trying to say, where the glee came from. Disagree wholeheartedly. I think that people should be working. I think it is part of our nature to work, even if we're doing it for free for ourselves. And you know what? Guess what? The earth is Pop-Tart.
Institutions. Even the limited organization and bureaucracy within the flat.
Why are all the maps square? Why are they rectangles? If the earth isn't a rectangle. It's a flat rectangle like a Pop-Tart. And we got the earth and the dirt on top, just like the icing, the glaze on the Pop-Tart.
Earth community is also very suspect, as Eric Dubé, who is the creator of the 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball video, which is a 2-hour-long video with...
Well, to be fair, it's not really a ball either, because it's... What do you call it? Oblong. Is it oblong? It's not exactly a circle. It is round-ish. Or a ball, I mean. It's round-ish. But it's got, like... It's... You know what? It's a ball.
5,700 views. Eric once accused others in the community of being controlled opposition shills. You see, he's trying to expose the truth.
We're a ball flying through space because we are just the rubber ball that God throws to his dog. Probably. Who knows?
Meanwhile, other people who are in the community are on one hand trying to make money from the movement, basically, right? But on the other hand, they're also trying to make the movement look bad to outsiders. It's kind of the same opinion that a lot of people who are in the deep conspiracy world have about Alex Jones, where Alex Jones obviously pushes a lot of conspiracy theories, but he acts very zany, he's very entertaining on camera. So a lot of those guys believe that Alex Jones is actually a paid government operative. And this is a consistent belief within a lot of conspiracy communities that the most popular guy in any movement, or some of the most popular people in any movement, if they get a lot of media attention, they must therefore be a shill who is some kind of government agent. This video is sponsored by Gamer Subs. The best energy drink.
Love me some Gamer Subs.
It tastes great. It's got a lot of fun and cool and zany and awesome flavors. I personally have been drinking a lot of Crusaderade lately. Special thanks to Gamer Subs for sponsoring my videos where I talk about weird shit and act embarrassing. All right, now back to the video. And with all that being said, we've kind
Gamer Subs, you gotta sponsor me, bro.
gone through the history of the flat earth movement. And that brings us to the real subject of today's video and the guy that I want to focus on because of what just happened with him. And his name is Jaron. You see, Jaron, Jay, whatever, he really falls into the category of DIY.
I'm gonna call him Jaron.
Scientists that I talked about before, people who do their own experiments. But the problem with these DIY scientists, and the reason why this particular group of people is losing some steam, is that more often than not, they'll accidentally prove themselves to be very wrong.
You're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water. The Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as, we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
You see, Mr. Campanella has two pretty big YouTube channels, all right? One of them's called Globebusters, which is a flat earth podcast. And then he's essentially got a flat earth commentary channel called Jaronism, where he makes more weekly flat earth content on whatever's going on. We can see on the Jaronism channel, he has a lot of interesting stuff, like more fake space photos, where he calls out NASA for supposedly faking photos of the stars. But one of my personal favorite highlights from his channel is...
Yeah, probably because you zoom in, like, look, it's pixelated. Why is it pixelated if they didn't generate it? Guess what? It was generated by a camera. Every single picture that you take is generated. And slightly fake. Especially nowadays. They got AI in these cameras. And like in your phones when you take pictures. Some telescopes have it now.
Satirical take on a Billy Joel song where he basically lists off a bunch of conspiracy theories that he may or may not believe in. And I don't know how much of this he believes in, but a lot of it is very funny. One of the real hits in the song...
What's going to happen is these flat earthers are going to take over, and they are going to be the ones who are going to be like, oh shit, the earth really is round. We can't let everybody know that. We have to keep it a secret that the earth is flat. If these people took over, that's what would happen. They'd be like, oh shit, we were wrong. We better tell everybody we were right. Because we don't want to look like idiots.
My opinion is towards the beginning. He includes the conspiracy theory, which is the idea that Michelle Obama, being the former first lady and wife of Barack Obama, is a man that a lot of these guys call Big Mike. And I do like the idea of Big Mike. I don't really believe it, but I do like it. I
hope it's true. I really do. People are like, oh, Obama's gay, blah. Who cares? Who cares? I think it would be hilarious if the memes were right this whole time.
Idea that Michelle Obama is a guy. And he's also done a lot of interviews with people who can...
I think that bulge was from her wearing, like, granny panties, probably.
His worldview to try and bring them on and really bolster the flat earth movement. For example, he brought on a supposed F-16 pilot who's apparently confirmed to him that the earth is in fact flat from his perspective.
So we got a nice glaze of grease running along the lines here and here. Very cute double trin.
And the great thing about Jaron's channel is that he's essentially a light, and his followers are like moths that flock to him, because there's not a lot of mainstream flat earthers out there for people to really congregate around and commune around and kind of bow down to as like their source of truth and light in this world, someone who's speaking their truth. And so Jaron's and commune around and kind of bow down
in
to
on that
like
Bitcoin.
their source of truth and
you see that Bitcoin right there? You know what that tells me? This dude's into crypto. You know what that also tells me? That he is willing to scam and lie for money. Not true. No, I'm just kidding. I'm saying some bullshit again. If you like Bitcoin, that's fine. But if you're advertising it though, like with a light right there, like, hey, I buy Bitcoin. You should too, followers. Bitcoin's cool. I don't trust you.
light in this world, someone who's speaking their truth, and so Jaren's comment sections are absolutely filled with these guys. If you check the comment sections, they have a lot of unique justifications for why the Earth is flat and why they think the way they think. For example, if the Earth is flat, then why do we have eclipses? Well, you see, these guys believe in the concept of nodes. The eclipse is a lensing effect on electrical nodes in the sky. When the sun or moon passes through one of these nodes, there is a partial or total eclipse depending on where you are. A total eclipse.
He doesn't know this. He's literally pulling it out of his ass. That's all that's happening here. Like, he's just like, oh, well, this makes sense if it was like this, so it is like this.
In one place is a partial eclipse hundreds of miles away. The nodes are in a sequence. There are videos of those nodes being visible during an eclipse. The lunar eclipse is always a selenaliant. This means the sun and moon are always out at the same time above the horizon. Well, okay, we've got an explanation there. We've learned about the nodes. Pretty interesting stuff. But what about gravity? If the Earth is truly not round, why does it have any gravitational pull?
Because we're going up really fast.
On any side of the Earth that you're on, in any place, you're going to drop an object and seemingly basically observe the same gravitational pull. Why is that the case? Well, you see, a helpful commenter also had an explanation for that. It's the law of density. Same reason why a metal ball sinks to the bottom of the sea while a feather does not. Water is denser than a feather, while less dense than a metal ball. You see, this community of people has basically gathered around Jaren, around Jaron, around Big J Man, we call him, all right, in this world. Maybe Warner Brothers did have something to do with it. Hey, if we check your emails, Big J, Mr. J, they call you, is there something going on with
Mr.
Warner
J.
Brothers already? Are you being cast in a new movie? I've heard rumors, okay? Let me know. I'm excited. Tell me the lore. But Jaren is a very prominent member of the Flat Earth community. He's got like relatively decent thumbnails and SEO stuff for the kind of stuff he's talking about. And he even starred in the Behind the Curve documentary, which, as I mentioned earlier, set out to document these guys and understand their worldview. He is a speaker for the people. He's like the Martin Luther King of online modern day Flat Earth. He and pretty much every Flat Earth content creator often get comments from people who they refer to as globe heads who disagree with their scientific assessments. And this is when we get into the final experiment. Basically, there's this guy named Will Duffy. He's a pastor from a small church in Denver, Colorado, and he saw this one debate called Flat Earth versus Globehead, and he decided that he wanted to try and settle the score forever. He had a revolutionary idea. He would fly out a bunch of Flat Earthers, and then he would fly out a bunch of Globeheads to Antarctica to basically definitively prove whether or not the Earth is flat. The final experiment is a way to settle the shape of the Earth debate. Both the Flat Earth side and the Globe side agree that whether or not there's a 24-hour sun in Antarctica will confirm if we live on a flat plane or on a globe. A 24-hour sun cannot work on a flat plane in the south, and the sun cannot set on a globe during the southern summer.
One day, I was watching an interview, and that is where I finally got the idea for the final experiment. It was David Weiss. He is best known as Flat Earth Dave. And here's what he said.
One of the arguments that people give is on a flat Earth, you can't have a 24-hour sun, a midnight sun in Antarctica. And I totally agree. But there is no midnight sun in Antarctica.
That's it. Antarctica and the 24-hour sun. But most importantly, Dave Weiss made me realize the single most important...
What? Wait. What? No 24-hour sun? What is this? What are you talking about, no 24-hour sun? What are you talking about? I don't even understand what they're talking about here.
Important thing when it comes to the final experiment is that both sides agree. Both sides agree that if there is a 24-hour sun, we live on a globe with Antarctica as an island at the bottom of it.
So it's pretty self-explanatory, as you can see. It's basically what you would expect. But he was going to go all out for this. This was an all-expenses-paid trip to prove once and for all that the Earth is round. I'm not really sure where he got all the cash to do this, but it's really funny, so I don't really care. So now that Will had this concept in his mind, he had to do the hardest part, which was actually getting the Flat Earthers to agree to go. Obviously, it's going to be pretty easy to get globe heads who want to meet some Flat Earthers and just see what's going on with them, but the Flat Earthers are very reclusive, they're very conspiratorial, they're not trusting, and so as a result, it's not very surprising that at first, Jaren was very resistant to this idea. Mr. Campanella was kind of scared, to the point that Will was getting desperate to get him to go out there. He even offered him $45,000 specifically for his trip to South America, for lodging, for food, for literally everything. I don't know how 45 grand was...
Timcast was also trying to send Alex Stein there, and he pussied out. Don't know why. I wish I would have really loved to see Alex Stein 99 go to Antarctica.
Was going into this, but he offered him that much money.
Jaren has asked me to make a public video stating that I will cover all of his expenses for our trip to Antarctica this December. There's going to be additional expenses like flying to South America and food and lodging in South America before the flight to Antarctica. Jaron thinks that these added expenses could get all the way up to $45,000. I don't think they'll go that high, but yes, if they do go that high, Jaron, I will cover all of your expenses. I believe you're in California, and so you probably don't have any winter clothing. That will be required as well. So all expenses will be covered, even if it goes all the way up to $45,000.
And despite saying that he would match that, Jaron...
Bro, I want to do it. I'll do it. Dude, pay me to go to Antarctica. I will go to fucking Antarctica right now. I got nothing better to do other than this show, and I will be doing this show in Antarctica. I will make sure of that.
Was still very resistant to the idea and said in an interview that he would need a buddy to go along with him. Will immediately responded and was like, okay, you can bring your buddy. I'll pay for your buddy. And Jaron seemed pretty speechless at that.
But I wouldn't accept it yet because of the fact that I would want another person to go.
Wait.
I don't want to stay in a tent with...
Wait. Is he talking about Alex Stein right now? Is this Alex Stein that he's talking about? Because I literally heard this story. What dude just said literally is what Alex Stein said about you have to go through South America and everything.
McKeegan, that sounds like a nightmare. If there was another flat earther that you were to select, that you were to send both of us down there, and then we could request to stay in the same tent. So now I'm staying in the same tent as this flat earther.
But I'm ready to commit to pay for you and one other person.
You ready to commit?
One other flat earther.
And all expenses for both.
That's right.
Okay.
Now at this point, despite some hesitancy, he did eventually agree, along with 2 other flat earthers. So at this point, you've got 3 people going out there. Say what you will about them, but at the very least, these dudes were so strong in their conviction.
I think maybe Alex Stein was lying about being involved in going to Antarctica. Maybe he was joking. I don't know. Alex Stein, I don't know about that guy. He's weird. Says a lot of bullshit sometimes as a joke, and then doesn't tell anyone that it's a joke, which I think is hilarious. But still, it confuses me. Damn it, Alex Stein. Go to Antarctica. Why'd you have to hype everybody up?
That they're willing to put their entire lives and career on the line for something that they seem to fully believe in and would be fruitless for them anyway. But obviously, once they all got there, they all recorded in 4K how the 24-hour sun doesn't actually set where they were, and Jaron then had to go on camera and admit that he had been wrong all along.
All right, guys. Sometimes you are wrong in life, and I thought that there was no 24-hour sun. In fact, I was pretty sure of it. But I respect Will Duffy for being a stand-up guy, at least in the way that he kept saying it was true. I kept saying it wasn't. He said, "You want to go? I'll take you," and brought me here, and it's a fact. The sun does circle you in the south. So what does that mean? You guys are gonna have to figure that out yourself. Don't listen to my beliefs or my opinion. It shouldn't matter to you, but at least you should be able to accept that the sun does exactly what these guys said as far as circles the southern continent. So that's about it. I realize that I'll be called a shill for just saying that. And you know what? If you're a shill for being honest, so be it.
Notice how he still doesn't say, okay, the earth is round.
Imagine not knowing how light works when it's hitting a spinning object. Imagine not knowing how light works when you're at the bottom of the ball and the light's sitting here and you're spinning, right? There's the sun is going to be shining on one part of it's like the light skids off the bottom of Antarctica and you see a little bit all the time. So if you're standing there, the sun is moving around your head basically. It's orbiting you, it looks like. If you're anywhere else, the sun does not look like that until you get to the north. When you get to the North Pole, then it does the same thing. So dumb.
Right? Notice how he doesn't do that. He's kind of in the process of accepting it, but he hasn't quite gotten there. And in a way, you know what? I kind of feel bad for him because, I mean, as funny as it is, like, imagine dedicating an entire portion of your life, your career, your beliefs to an idea that you then have to admit on camera you were wrong about the entire time. It can't...
I have a ball right here. I have a ball right here. Right? And like right here would be probably about where Antarctica is. And there's always the sun is shining on one part of Antarctica, making it basically look like the, 30 days of night in Norway, but the not 30 days a night. It's like 6 months a night is what I meant to say. 6 months a night, 6 months a day. You know, it's the daytime part. There's that one area where it literally, I don't remember where it is. You stand there, I think it's the opposite of Antarctica. You stand there and the sun circles around you. And this is a place that you can visit right now without having to go to Antarctica.
Be that fun, it can't feel that good. Even if what he believes is that the Earth is...
Hold on. What's the place called where the sun circles you?
Showing pictures that match.
No, there was a place, damn it. Stop it. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm gonna have to go to Brave. What's the place called where the sun seems like it's circling you? Subsolar point? Is that what I'm talking about? This is the point on a planet or moon where the sun is directly overhead at the zenith. At this point, the sun's rays strike the surface exactly perpendicular, casting no observable shadow. The subsolar point moves westward with a speed of 1600. That's not what I was looking for. There's literally a spot where you can see the daylight moving around you. Oh well. Antarctic sounds so cool to me. Like, imagine if you're out there and there's just slight daylight all the time. I think I'd be happy a lot. Because you want darkness, you can just go turn the light off and go lay down in your room. But you don't want there to never be any daylight.
Flat. Like, what do you even do when you get home at this point? How do you go home and sleep at night? But you know what? It is nice to see that Jaren still had the balls to kind of admit here that, you know, he was wrong. There is a 24-hour sun. It does happen. But the same could not be said about other flat earthers that were not there, okay? They didn't really trust his interpretation. Because afterwards, they would all hop onto a Discord call, and they would say that this is all a green screen, that Jaren has been compromised, okay? It's all over. The deep state finally got him. He is being drugged. Maybe he's being held captive. Maybe he's being offered a new girlfriend by the government. But whatever the case, he's compromised, and he has decided to willfully lie about what's happening here and say that there is a 24-hour sun when in fact there is not.
Will Duffy for being a stand-up guy.
Oh, Will Duffy's a stand-up guy. That's what I wanted to know.
Wow, that's very telling.
And this kind of leads us into the major problem with flat Earth, right? Even if you convince one particular guy of him being wrong, there's still a ton of others out there who are gonna believe what they believe, and they can make up whatever justification they want. They can deny science, they can create...
Yeah, and people will come up with justifications, tell other people that, and they are also gonna believe it and act like it's their own justification.
Their own scientific process. They can just pull it out of their ass, and you can't really argue with them. It's almost fruitless to debate these guys, because even if you convince one guy and you show that that guy was convinced, his buddies will then just say he's in a magical trance, or that he's sold out, that there's a green screen behind him. They'll never actually believe the truth. There's this quote that always flies around whenever you discuss flat Earth in comment sections across all of YouTube, and the quote is essentially, it's very hard to win an argument against a smart person, but it's
like woke people. You think that you woke up, but you're really just being memed on because you're dumb. It's the same thing. Religion. It's a religion. You're just in it because you feel like you're important, talking about a bunch of things you think that you're smart about because other people think the same things you do, because you're in an echo chamber, and you've been in an echo chamber and you won't get out of it because you think everybody who doesn't think like you is an idiot and must be lying or something.
Is impossible to win an argument with a stupid person, and that's really the situation that you're in with flat Earth. You're not going to be able to convince them. You can show them whatever you want, they will just say it's fake. They have their own reality. When it's all said and done, people will just believe what they want to believe. They'll hear what they want to hear. The Antarctica trip probably will sway a few people's opinions on the matter, but I would bet that a majority of the people that are fully enraptured, that are fully brought into the flat Earth trenches, will find some method of explaining.
They're too far invested in it now. They can't get out of it. They're too far invested. If they get out of it, then their whole worldview and the way they live just crashes and burns. It's like people who buy microtransactions in video games. And they won't stop playing the video game because they spent thousands upon thousands of dollars in it. And if they leave now, then that would have been money wasted. And they justify the money that they have spent by them keeping playing this game and keeping spending more money. Because if they stop spending money, then they have to admit that they were wrong. If they stop playing it, they have to admit they were wrong. And who likes being wrong? I do, actually. I like being wrong.
This away. It honestly just seems like finding a community of people that they can hang out with or feel alive with once in a while once they have a midlife crisis. You know, it kind of feels good to be like, I'm discovering the truth of the earth, the truth that the earth is totally flat, and then they'll have their own little version of beliefs and they can talk to other people online about it. Like, it's kind of just a bunch of dudes hanging out, finding a sense of belonging. You know, some people have Marvel movies, okay? Some people have Dungeons and Dragons. Some people have Apex Legends or Fortnite. Let's be honest, nobody has Apex Legends, but everybody's got to have their thing. And for these guys, it is the idea that the earth is flat. It's fun. I don't really think it's a coincidence that a majority of these flat earthers are guys who are like 50 plus and they're generally from a pretty rural area. A lot of these guys probably don't have that many friends and they just want some dudes they can chill with and discuss the many, you know, qualms of the intergalactic police force and the ice wall. And it's not really that different from guys who go to these like nerdy, hobby-centric conventions at the end of the day. It's just that unlike nerds, these guys think that what they're talking about is real, which is honestly probably more fun. Like, if I thought that Batman was real, I think that my life would be better. So I might just start believing it. But anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you guys are enjoying Christmas. I
wish that my fantasy was real. I want to go around and challenge like random people on the streets to Yu-Gi-Oh duels for their souls. That's what I want.
Realize my tree has been off this entire time. Merry Christmas! And I'll see you.
It is so far past Christmas now, man. You didn't even release this on Christmas. Well, technically, it's still Christmas. 12 days of Christmas, to be exact. Flat Earthers are weird, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. The world's Pop-Tart. We're just the glaze sitting on top of the sandy rectangle.